The first story is titled Karen Tries to Get Me Fired, then says she married my gay cousin. For a little backstory, I'm in my junior year, grade 11, and I'm taking an education course, which basically teaches you how to be a teacher. We have to have field experience or practical work. We basically get sent to a school and put into a classroom to help the teacher. It's a great way to see if teaching is right for you. Well, the classroom I'm currently stationed is a pretty good one. I know the teacher pretty well because she was my teacher and my brother's teacher when we were younger. This means she trusts me to do a lot more than other teachers probably would. Her class was having a back-to-school party, and the teacher asked if I would mind getting some sodas the night before, and she would pay me back for them. The reason she asked is because she forgot them. She's old, it happens. Of course, I agree. I went to our local store and grabbed 3 12-packs of sodas. There are only 24 students in the class, but I wasn't sure what they liked. Plus, the teachers could just have what was left over. I decided to also get a few small gifts like candy or small toys as they were cheap. By the time I finished, my cart was pretty full, but I was obviously shopping and not working. As I'm walking to the till, I decided to go ahead and grab some cheap things for me to have for dinner the night as well. I stop my cart and start reaching up on the shelf to grab things. While I'm turned around, a woman starts digging around in my cart. I quickly stop her and ask, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, aren't you stocking shelves? I'm just taking some of the candy." Now, to be fair, I was still wearing my school uniform, which is pretty similar to the store's. Both are khaki pants and blue polos, but the store's shirts have the store name on the back. I decide to give her the benefit of the doubt and just say, "No, I'm shopping. I need this candy for school, please put it back." She starts getting huffy and says, "You're wearing the uniform. Stop lying or I'll have you fired." My husband is the manager. Now, I know she's lying. I know because my cousin is the manager. My cousin is married, but definitely not to her. He's gay. I say, "I know that isn't true. Just give me my candy." I take it back from her and head to the till. As I'm checking out, I see her complaining to none other than my cousin. I pay and decide to let her know that I knew she was full of crap. I go and give my cousin a hug and ask him how his husband was doing. Her face went red and she hurried off. The next story is titled I'll Poop Wherever I Like. This sub is a dream to me. I have experiences like this constantly. I think it might be due to having spent 17 years in the service industry. I just have that look. I've started wearing earbuds everywhere I go, but obviously that's not something I can do in restaurants and bars. My buddy was taking me out to a fancy French restaurant as a treat, and I was pretty gusset up. I really enjoyed getting dolled up and wearing a beautiful dress to enjoy a wonderful meal. However, the city in which I live, Portland, Oregon, has a reputation for diners dressing down, even in fine dining restaurants. It's a running joke among locals. You'll go into a restaurant where a couple will easily drop a couple hundo on one meal and over half the room are wearing hiking clothes or yoga pants. I only mention this because the staff tends to be better dressed than the clientele. I was wearing all black with my hair and an elaborate updo and chandelier earrings. I think the all black is what started everything. This particular restaurant has a well-known and frankly downright foxy chef who typically works at a station expoing and plating where everybody can see him. It's also near the door to the only washroom and the server station. It's a huge restaurant, and with only the one washroom, there was a bit of a line. I waited and waited, and at one point I think the chef and I exchanged a few pleasantries. When I was next in line, a middle-aged man in a Portland issue plaid button-up and jeans got in line behind me. He had cranky energy and was shifting from foot to foot. It didn't seem like he had to go badly, just that he was impatient. I had been waiting much longer than him and found his constant sighing and scoffing irritating. When it was my turn, I reached for the door, only to have this awful man push in front of me and nearly knock me over, shoving himself into the open door. I was so taken aback I just sort of froze and said, "Excuse me, I was next," which is when he wheeled around, started yelling about how he wasn't about to wait while some waitress changed her tampon, and then yelled at the chef that he should have a staff bathroom because it's disgusting that the staff use the same bathroom as guests, and implied he might not and a full bladder, while this man took care of his business. Clearly taking his sweet time out of spite. Maybe. Something about his personality made me think he hadn't taken a normal crap in years. The chef apologized to me, and a waiter who had been at the server station commiserated. I decided duck it. I don't work here, but even if I did, there is no reason to be treated like I'm not human. Seriously, dude. You're wearing Buddy Teva sandals and suddenly acting like we're inducting Downton Abbey. When he came out, I used my entire body to block his path out of the bathroom and gave him a stern but quiet lecture about how A, I actually wasn't an employee, and B, there is nothing wrong with sharing the bathroom with the staff, and told him that he had ruined what should have been a special night out. Again, this all happened in full view of the entire kitchen staff and several members of the wait staff. I hadn't realized it at the time, but this jerk was actually seated directly next to my friend on the banquet. His female dining companion was sitting next to me. I'd have been gone easily 20 minutes and my friend was confused and annoyed. I figured at that point I had nothing to lose, so I loudly explained what happened while gesturing to the awful man and making pointed eye contact with the woman. The man looked furious and the woman just silently glared at him. After a few minutes, the waiter wordlessly dropped their check. They were mid-meal and hadn't been offered dessert. It was clearly a very pointed but polite, "Duck you. Get out," from the staff after his rant. They paid without incident, and as they got up to leave, he tried to put his hand on her shoulder, only to have her jerk away and say, "Don't touch me." TFW, you realize your partner is a complete jackass who got you thrown out of a restaurant for screaming about tampons. We got a cheese plate and glasses of sparkling rose as a gift from the restaurant. Cheers. The next story is titled "Block My Driveway, Spoil Your Evening." I got home at 4:00 p.m. and found my neighbor's driveway blocked by a parked car. Their driveway has official red "Do Not Park" painting on one side of the curb and is obviously an active driveway with a "Do Not Block" sign on the garage door. There is no excuse for blocking. Still, it happens a lot, way more than it should. A contractor friend had his truck parked in our neighbor's garage and had been waiting about 20 minutes for the driver of the car. He had called parking enforcement to report the car about 10 minutes earlier. Parking enforcement in San Francisco is horrible, especially around this time. A lot of streets turn to no parking, so a ton of tow trucks are handling those violators, plus they change shifts at 5. So no show on parking enforcement after 4 to 5 minutes. My partner decides to let the air out of the rear passenger tire. It wasn't totally flat, but flat enough. Another 30 minutes go by. No parking enforcement, no driver. I then decide to apply a technique I read on Reddit. I put a small pebble in the air cap on the front passenger tire and replaced it. I could hear the air slowly leaking. We then all went up to my place and waited. 15 minutes later. Still no parking enforcement, but the driver shows up, on her phone as she looks around, hops in her car and off she went. We raced downstairs to see where she was, and she seemed to have disappeared. We walked down to the corner, and sure enough she had turned right and was parked in the first spot, flashers on a handicapped spot. She was out of her car and on her phone. We hear her saying, "And now I'm going to be late meeting you guys because the universe hates me and I have to change a tire. I have a flat tire." She proceeds to take everything out of her trunk to get to her spare. The funny thing is that because of the way she parked, there was a huge bush blocking any view of her front tire that was now completely flat. I was loving it. I strolled by at least 3 times over the next 4 to 5 minutes while she tried to figure out how to change a tire. She must have phoned a friend at some point to help her because she had another girl helping, dressed nearly identical, yoga pants and big sweatshirt assisting. I then went out to check on them after another 20 minutes, and when I rounded the corner, she was gone. Damn. At first I was thinking that they realized that the tire wasn't damaged and drove to a gas station. There are 2 about 2 blocks away. I continued to walk up the street a bit to see if I could spot them. Sure enough, they were pulled over again a block up, flashers on. She must have discovered her second flat. Hoped she had a spare. At that point I was totally satisfied with my petty revenge. The next story is titled "Weekend." My so should really post this as I was a bit late to the main event, but he doesn't read it, so I'm posting from my perspective/memory. So I went to the big orange home improvement store. We were in the garden section looking for some lawn care products. So is very particular about the lawn and has done a great job researching products to bring life back to our lawn. After some in-depth discussion, he picks out some grass seed and tosses it into the cart. I saw some houseplants over in the distance I wanted to check out, so I leave him there to continue looking and take the cart with me. Now, the houseplants are not far away from the lawn care products, so is still within my line of sight, just not within speaking distance. I'm not even over there for 2 minutes when I look up in response to hearing So and some guy getting loud. I mosey back over and give So a look, asking what's going on. The guy is upset because he also helped me pick out grass seed but won't help him. So says the obvious I don't work here, but the guy is having none of it. Guy says he knows so works there, he also helped me. He then goes on to say that maybe if he was a woman, so would be more interested in helping him. So says whoa, that's not it at all. I really don't work here. I finally speak up and say yeah, he doesn't work here, he's my so. We're here shopping together. The guy scoffed and shook his head in disbelief and states that so is an employee. We try to explain it to him again, but he refuses to listen and keeps on demanding service from so and a manager. You guys know how this part goes. Finally, something inside me clicks and I look at the guy and ask him, oh, is it because he's black? You believe he is an employee and not my so because he's black? Reddit. I'm pumpkin spice latte white. So is a delicious shade of caramel. The guy was gaping like a fish, turning red, and suddenly dead quiet as the realization washes over him. Publicly calling out someone's racism will do that to you. I then grab So's hand, hold up my lovely engagement ring to the guy's face and reiterate that we were together, then lay a big kiss on So. Not another word was exchanged while we turned and walked off to the registers hand in hand. The next story is titled Not Taking Trash is Sexual Assault. Some background. I'm a plumber and I'm only 18. I went to a trade school for high school and came out with a full-time job as an apprentice. This happened about 5 months ago and has had me ducked up ever since. I was working in a 4-story building inside the city and there's only one elevator, which we weren't allowed to use cause of the companies that worked in the building itself, and then only one spiral square staircase, needed for later. My journeyman and I were wrapping up our day and packing up everything. As the younger guy, I was sweeping and taking the loads back down to the truck to get ready to leave, and on one of my last trips, I was only taking a trash bag and a few of the hand tools I hadn't grabbed yet. I'm in my normal work clothes, but my boss isn't strict about wearing company clothing, so I'm only wearing my Dickies pants and a beat-up sweatshirt with no labels. I start walking down the stairs with the trash from the 4th floor to the bottom when a worker, networking/caller helpline company, from the 3rd floor walked out with a trash bag. I briefly walked past, just finishing my day, when she scoffed at me. Me being the kid I am, turn around and say I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I didn't mean to bump into you, and continued down, and then she said, here, take this crap. I got a call I need to get on. I said that I was sorry and I didn't work for the building and it's not my job to take it. So she then exclaims, you're dressed as a janitor. My son is one too. You dress just like him. He has the same tools on him all day. I tried to tell her that I didn't and that I'm a plumber working above her on 4th. In retrospect, yes, I could have taken it, but there wasn't one of those giant trash bins to put trash in, so we had to take it back to shop to dispose of, and we didn't have much room for more in the van. I started to get annoyed, but I just remembered that I need to take breaths and walk away. I start going down the stairs when she grabbed the back of my hoodie and yanked it. I spun around like what the hell, and she slammed the bag to my stomach, sending me stumbling down the stairs. This was when one of her coworkers comes out cause of the commotion, and she starts fake crying, saying I sexually harassed her, and that she shoved me down the stairs in an attempt to save herself. I tried to say something getting up, but the guy was on the phone with the cops already, and he took her away to calm her down. I started to get so mad at this woman, but my coworker came to me and said, my buddy loves to mess with me. He'd take videos of me working or being oblivious, and he'd throw like coins at me to be funny or dump water on me just as a joke to lighten the day up a bit. Well, he recorded the interaction and the lady never knew he was there. Reason why spiral staircase was important. By the time he made sure I was alright, the cops were there about 10 minutes after the whole thing went down. They talk to the woman, and they take her side of things at first. They start questioning me in the stairwell, and my buddy said he witnessed it and had a video. He began to show the video to the cop of literally everything. From the moment I began down the stairs and past this lady to her shoving me down the stairs. He talks to her, and from the second he said there was a video, she turned ghost white. They took her downstairs to the cruiser, and the cop came back to me asking if I needed assistance or ambulance, as I had a gash on my elbow when I stumbled down, but I was totally fine though, just in complete shock. He also asked if I wanted to press charges, and I said I would. In the following time since this happened, I've taken her to court. She's been charged and is serving time for assault and battery and another thing I don't recall. What's important to know, as I'm realizing now, is that there were no cameras in the stairwell. I would have been screwed. Absolutely screwed. It was a huge reality check for myself. I could be sitting in jail serving time for something I didn't do at this very moment. It could have ruined my life, to be quite honest. Luckily, my buddy was there, and ever since then I have never complained once about him messing around with me. Shortly after this, the building installed new cameras everywhere. Being 5 months later, my parents have been awesome in teaching me about all this stuff, especially since I'm a man and it can get scary with accusations like that. They believe me, and I've always been raised by them to treat women right, and I'm the kid who wouldn't hurt a fly. Disclaimer: I typed this on my phone and I sucked at English all my life, so I know the grammar is probably terrible. The next story is titled "I Should Be Fired for Ramming a Cart into My Truck." This is a very mild "I don't work here lady" and more "I don't work here man." I had gone grocery shopping and was taking my stuff out to my truck in the cart. As I pull up to the truck, I let the cart hit the bumper. All of a sudden, a male Karen appears. NK: What the hell? You think that's okay? Me: What? NK: What the duck is wrong with you? Me: Sir, I don't know. NK: You hit the truck with the cart. I can't believe you are so irresponsible. You should be fired for that. I realize he thinks I work there. I tell him a basic "I don't work here" and start loading my groceries in the back as this dude yells at me. I thought dude would realize that it's my truck I hit. He didn't. NK: That thing is a classic. I went to see your manager because that was unacceptable. Turning to him, because I don't think he heard what I said, I repeated myself. Me: I don't work here, dude. This is my. NK: Don't give me that bullcrap. I want to speak to your manager. Then one of the guys that does work there came up. He asked if there was a problem. The dude started ranting at him that I had scrapped the cart along the truck after ramming it. He wanted me fired. The employee looks at me and asked if I was done with the cart so I could take it back. I said yes, grabbed my last bag, I sat in the back. Then I went and got in my truck and started it up. The male Karen's face got rather red as I pulled away. For the record, my truck is a mid-90s S10. Technically a classic in my state, but not what I would think of as a classic. Also very rough condition. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.